Our first segment spotlights three incredible thought leaders who will dive deep into the power and potential of the ocean, exploring technologies, spaces, and innovations to advance our understanding of the ocean and our ability to protect it. This segment would include Fabien Cousteau, Diva Aman, and Titouan Bernicotte. We will first hear from Fabien, an aquanaut, oceanographic explorer, filmmaker, environmental advocate, and founder of both the Fabien Cousteau Ocean Learning Center and Proteus Ocean Group. Sorry.
Bonjour à tous. Hello, everyone. It's such an amazing time to be able to see familiar faces and many new faces, all our fishy friends. Before I start, something about the panel has been stirring up emotions. What Sylvia and Ray have talked about are two sides of the same coin in terms of our endeavors to strike a balance with our life support system. I would propose to the United Nations, to Sylvia, to Ray, to find a way to integrate in the decision-making process the true short and long-term costs of those resources. I think if we have a better understanding of the true costs of doing such things, we might have a better understanding and maybe a better decision-making process of when to do things and how. Now, with respect to time, since I know we don't have very much of it, let me get straight to the point by asking a single question. What is the actual tangible value of a single phytoplankton? The ocean, as you know, generates the vast majority of the oxygen that we breathe on this planet, and that life that we know all around us depends on, including ourselves. We're talking about 3.4 billion cubic kilometers of volume, 99% of our world's living space, and yet we've explored less than about 7% of it to this day. This little unique oasis in space floating in the vast emptiness of space. I want us all to appreciate how lucky we are to be able to be one of those few creatures invited to live on this little unique blue bubble. And until we can concretely answer that question, we will know very little about our life support system. And we will continue to find ourselves in the situation that we are today. Scientific understanding of our ocean and its ecosystems are vital to tackling the increasing challenges that we are facing. I was inspired not too long ago by my good friend Sylvia and my ancestors, and a real insatiable curiosity for living under the sea. And I had the unbelievable blessing to be able to lead a group to live 31 days on the ocean floor and to leverage technologies that played a vital role in my team's discovery and research. The new science, the new tech that we were able to test, and the public outreach, to Ray's earlier point, were vital in proving a theory that the ocean has enormous value, and more importantly maybe, that the world still cares and wants to learn more. Today, we need new thinking and fresh approaches to using this science, technology, and innovation. Now, galvanized by digitization, by the transformation of ocean research and innovation, this stuff is accelerating in unbelievable ways, as you've probably seen in the news recently. New collaborative mechanisms are gaining ground in many parts of the world, and this disruptive digital technology is increasing the features in commercial and scientific applications. And this is where the slippery slope begins. Today, I'd like to share just a few key examples of some of the latest innovations in ocean, things that may be able to benefit the cause that we're talking about today, living in symbiotic relationship with our planet. A networked ocean will create individual vehicles and instruments and provide real-time information about what's happening in the ocean, much like the National Weather Service. Imagine, for example, that we'd be able to predict weather patterns not just days in advance, but weeks and possibly months ahead, with the ability to better mitigate the impact of storm damage and on infrastructure and, most importantly, human life. How much would that be worth? Probably priceless. Having a finger on the pulse of ocean has fundamental impacts to each and every one of us, whether we live on the shoreline or 1,000 miles away. Today's ocean sensors detect things that in the water that human beings just can't. And giving scientists a fuller picture of our ocean, whether it's to speed the direction, the speed of the direction of ocean currents, or changes in saltwater chemistry, or carbon cycling, or even biological productivity in the deep sea, are all important factors in that decision-making process. And sensors that are being perfected these days can now start counting in real time the microplastic concentration plumes and other chemical fingerprints that are passing through our ocean's water, so that maybe we can stop the problem at its source. And other arrays are now becoming capable of performing dynamic fish counts, so that we can look at aquatic species beyond the 92% accuracy from fast-moving platforms such as AUVs or autonomous underwater vehicles, so that we can have a better dynamic understanding of the shifting baselines that are happening in our biodiversity. Another example of innovative technologies is AI and robotics, which will analyze and interpret data much more efficiently. We already see that on land and in space, and even now starting in the oceans. But those interpretations will have fundamental impact in ways that we haven't even thought of yet. And gains in robotics intelligence is undoubtedly leading to ocean monitoring and sampling, particularly in areas that have been too dangerous or too remote to reach. But sampling the ocean is just part of the equation. In order to make accurate predictions of long-term changes, ocean scientists will need to rely on a completely different set of technologies that will be deployed from well below the surface, which require a human-ocean interface. There are a lot of institutions out there gathering data, but unfortunately, even in today, 2023, it is still difficult to share and understand. And there are several institutions out there that are even working on unifying this knowledge, which is a monumental task, to be of use to a much wider network. But this task, as I mentioned, is absolutely crushing. And the missing and essential part of knowledge is sharing it and engaging with the general public. Because we cannot do it alone. As a global community, that is the only approach that will be able to get us to the goals that we are striving and preaching for today. The general public has a major part of those solutions that we all seek, and I believe that this is still the most troubling aspect, and this is coming from 3 generations of ocean storytellers. When it comes to a global understanding and intrinsic value of ocean to each and every one of us. Some of you may have heard me talk a little bit about a not-so-secret project that we started launching during COVID, of all places, of all times. Proteus, the International Space Station of the Sea. As a social good enterprise, and I underline this, the Ocean Learning Center, which is my nonprofit, is the largest stakeholder, and for good reason. It is the soul, if you will, or the guiding light. But the collaboration to disrupt science is important, and the significant impact on research funding and creating opportunities for innovation are fundamental before we start doing things like strip mining. Imagine the state of art and research and communications and on a platform on the final frontier, to be able to cater to scientists and researchers, a training ground for astronauts and aquanauts alike, a platform welcoming academia, educators, scientists, a Hollywood quality creative platform to reach out virtually to all those who will never get a chance to see the ocean firsthand, and one that caters to advanced engineering and robotics. This permanent presence underwater will give the ability to leverage the human technological interface in a field 24/7 that will allow us to extend bottom times, enhance research and discovery opportunities by over 10 times, and enable us to have continuous study of subjects mid and long term, and highlight the need to go longer, deeper, and further. In the same ways that innovation and collaborations have opened up the doors of space exploration, Proteus will be the first international space station of the ocean and will help spur on marine exploration, drive discovery and global engagement, and has the general public in mind. We are pushing further the intersection between outer space and ocean exploration. As Ray had mentioned, there's over 1,000 times more invested in space exploration than ocean exploration. But if we're to look at investment in our future, and no bestigement to space, so I love space actually. Give me a ticket if there's a round trip to Mars. I say round trip to Mars. But the R&D opportunities are there for collaboration. And I really truly believe that the only way we can get there is through an intersection between governance, sustainable science, and public empowerment and education, which should be the focus. I will leave you with this. You see, my friends, as you will hear throughout the day, the ocean does have some good stories to tell. There is reason to have hope. But it is imperative for us to push hard so that we can accelerate that research and exponentially increase the oceanic knowledge that we can better take care of and protect our fragile life support system. And that we invest the interest that these efforts generate into a future of a healthy planet for all. This was a historic quote that my grandfather had taught me when I was 8 years old. But I'll leave you with this one. For most of history, man has had to fight nature in order to survive. In this century, we're starting to understand that in order to survive, we must protect it. Thank you all, and I wish you a fruitful and productive World Ocean Year.